Hello everyone, welcome to the session. Our topic today is editing written discourses. The objectives of our lesson include to understand how pre-reading activities help the learners to develop intuitions on grammaticality, to get familiarized with the classroom process of syntactic editing, to get familiarized with morphological editing, to develop understanding about the various types of punctuation marks and their uses, and finally to know about the classroom process of orthographic editing. Some of the previous lessons dealing with the writing of discourses contain a brief discussion on the process of eliminating syntactic and morphological errors through editing. We have already seen that both brainstorming on certain discourse prior to writing it and the monitoring of group work are helpful for the learners to develop some understanding about its features. This is further strengthened with the help of the teacher's version of the targeted discourse and feedback on the written discourse. The processes that are carried out prior to the actual writing of the discourse install some cognitive mechanism in the learner's minds. These monitor the discourse they are constructing in terms of sentence grammar and discourse grammar. By discourse grammar, we mean the specific features of a particular genre of discourse. In this backdrop, it is not necessary to elaborate further on discourse level editing. The editing process we discuss in this lesson will be focusing on the other levels of editing such as syntactical, morphological and the editing of writing conventions. Presently, we will watch how a teacher is carrying out the editing activity. The learners have already written a biographical sketch individually. They had refined it in groups and all the products were presented before the whole class. There was a feedback session and the teacher had presented her version of the discourse as well. As you will see, further interaction was carried out to sensitize the learners on the features of the discourse. Let us now watch the video.
Hello students. Look, one of the group products is displayed on the wall. I read the product. Vandana woke up early in morning. She looked at the clock. It was 7 o'clock. Cool wind was flowing in through the half-open window. Vandana got out of her bed. She walked towards the wash basin and washed her face. Vandana, her amma called her from the kitchen. Yes, I coming. She went to the kitchen. Her mother was toasting bread. Vandana, you have dance class today. Your friend Maya will coming. Go, got ready. Amma, should I go today? Why? Don't you like your dance classes? I do, but I want to go out along with my friends. No. Mother's voice sharpened. Amma, today is the Rekha's birthday. You know what will Rekha think if I am not there? Okay, do as you like. My sweet Amma, said Vandana. She hugs her mother. Mother smiled and kissed her on her cheek. This is a narrative that emerged from one of the groups. Let us edit it. How shall we begin?
We will look for sentence with missing words.
Did you spot any? Check all sentences in the narratives carefully. Please don't skip any sentence.
The am is missing in the sentence I coming. It should be I am coming.
Yes, now I write am between I and coming. Are there any other sentences with missing words?
In the first sentence, the word the is missing. We have to put it after in.
What about the expression will coming? I think a word is missing between will and coming.
We need the word be between will and coming.
Now let us look for excess words. What about the sentence, but today is the Rekha's birthday?
I think the word the is unnecessary here.
What is next?
There is a sentence with a wrong word order.
Please read it aloud.
I think we have to say, you know what Rekha will think if I am not there.
You are right. So we have identified sentences with missing words, excess words, and with incorrect word order. What shall we do now?
There are spelling and punctuation errors.
Okay, we will look at them later.
As we have just seen in the video, syntactic errors are eliminated one after the other. So, when we look for missing words, we will focus only on them and check all the sentences. Then we can take the other types of syntactic errors, focusing only on one type at a time. After a few editing sessions, each sentence in the written discourse can be checked for all the three types of syntactic errors. The field experience shows that students who have had holistic language experience as conceived in discourse-oriented pedagogy will be able to spot the errors in a short span of time. The only thing the teacher has to do is draw their attention to the erroneous expression and pose specific questions such as the ones on the screen. These are, is there any word missing here? Do you think any word has been left out? The same word occurs in two places. Which one do you want to retain? Do you sense any problem with the sequencing of words? And other such questions. After posing the question, the teacher has to give sufficient time for the students to think and respond to the question. There is no point in hurrying through the editing session because we are invoking their intuitive feel about the language. After editing syntactic errors, we enter the realm of morphology. Morphological changes are caused by tenses, aspects, passives, prefixes and suffixes, and agreement markers. There can be certain types of errors that can affect both syntax and morphology. For example, consider the sentence, your friend Maya will coming. What are the verbal elements which you see in this sentence? Can one of you please answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
There is a modal.
Yes, the modal will carries present tense because we know that the past tense form of will is would. What about the word coming? Yes, would you like to try?
It contains the ing component of the progressive morpheme, being ing.
Alright. Now the question is, should we say your friend Maya will come or your friend Maya will be coming? What do you think?
Both sentences are grammatical.
That's correct. Which one will you choose? Try to interpret the context suggested in the narrative and then make your choice.
From the context, it is evident that Maya is coming is imminent, an event that is going to happen now. Therefore, I think Maya will be coming is more appropriate than Maya will come.
Well, it is a plausible argument. If this is the interpretation of the action suggested in this sentence, then we will be getting another instance of syntactic error. If we interpret the sentence slightly differently, then it will be an instance of morphological error. In situations like this, it will be better to give both options and ask the learners to take their own decision. The teacher can always tell the students what his choice is without going for complicated grammatical explanations. We will now continue watching the video.
We have tried to eliminate the sentence level errors. Let us now move on to word level errors. How do we go forward?
We have to check the word forms.
Okay. Did you notice any incorrect word forms?
Yes, in the second sentence, the word look is to be changed into looked.
Okay. Now the sentence is, she looked at the clock.
Vandana's mother says, go got ready. It should be go get ready.
Yes. Let us correct the word form. Now please look for other instances of incorrect word forms.
We have to change the word hugs in the sentence. It should be hugged.
Why?
The next sentence is mother smiled and kissed her. So we have right to hugged instead of hugs.
Yes. Have you addressed all the errors that you have found in the product?
So far, 3 levels of editing have been completed. We will now look into the editing of the conventions of writing. We know that listening and speaking are the primary skills of language, whereas reading and writing are conceived as secondary skills. Grammar addresses how we structure our language. It includes concepts such as tense agreement, modifiers, sentence diagramming, word order in a sentence, and sentence order in a paragraph. And it is applied to both speaking as well as writing. The process of editing, which we discussed in the preceding sessions, works on the language user's intuitions on grammaticality and not on the accumulated information on proper grammar. Also, it has implications for both speech as well as writing. However, when we are dealing with written language, proper spelling is just as essential as tense agreement. It would be quite difficult to go through a written text that is not punctuated, or if the majority of the words are spelled incorrectly. Most second language users may know how to put their words in order, and a writer of average skill is usually good with various aspects of writing that is construed as grammatical in nature. Yet, there can be several language users who struggle with punctuation and spelling even if their grammar is in good order. This makes sense because we are primarily exposed to spelling and punctuation through reading and writing. But the structure of our language comes to us through listening and speaking as well. The domain of written language that deals with spelling and punctuation is known as orthography. Technically speaking, grammar may not include orthography, but without all these elements in our writing, proper grammar does not always equate with good grammar. Grammar, spelling and punctuation are separate but related elements that work together to produce a mechanically coherent piece of writing. Teachers should have a thorough understanding about the proper use of punctuations to check the use of punctuation marks in written discourses. But before entering the discussion of the editing of punctuation marks, let us have a look at the list of various types of punctuation marks. For convenience in the discussion, we have put them in 5 sets. They are the following: the period or full stop, question mark, exclamation point, comma, semicolon and colon, dash and hyphen, brackets, braces and parentheses, apostrophe, quotation marks and ellipses. Now let us begin with the period. Yes, would you like to try?
The period marks the end of the declarative sentences, statement that are conceived as complete and after many abbreviations.
That's correct. Would somebody else like to try and say what is an exclamation mark used for?
Yes, ma'am. The exclamation mark is used when a person wants to express a sudden outcry.
Yes, that's correct. Now, where do you think we use commas, semicolons and colons? Would you like to try?
All these indicate a pause. The comma is used to show a separation of ideas or elements within the structure of a sentence. It is also used in letter writing after the salutation and closing.
Okay. And what about the semicolon?
The semicolon is used to connect independent clauses. It shows a closer relationship between the clauses than a period would show.
Yes. The next one, please.
The colon is used after a word introducing them, like a quotation, explanation or example or a series. It is also used for the salutation of business letter.
What about some other response?
While writing time, the colon is used to separate out the hour and minutes.
Correct. Now let us go over to the dash and the hyphen. Who would like to try?
The dash is used to connect numbers or to connect elements of a compound adjective.
Alright. Now, would somebody like to tell me what are the uses of brackets, braces and parentheses?
Parentheses are used to contain further thoughts or qualifying remarks. This can be replaced by commas.
Okay. What about brackets?
Brackets are squared off notations used for technical explanations.
Okay. And braces?
Braces are used to contain 2 or more lines of text or listed items to show that they are considered a unit.
Okay. Finally, we will take up apostrophe, quotation marks and ellipses. Somebody who hasn't answered, would you like to try?
An apostrophe is used to indicate the omissions of letters or letters from a word, the possessive case or the plurals of lower case letters.
Alright. Next, who would like to try?
Quotation marks are used to mark the beginning and the end of a passage attributed to another and repeated word by word. They are also used to indicate the unusual or dubious status of a word.
Thank you. Presently, we will see how orthography editing is carried out in the classroom. In the previous session, we had a detailed discussion on the various types of punctuation marks used in written English. In the present module, we will see how the errors related to orthography, that is punctuation and spelling, are edited in the classroom. Now, let us watch the video.
We have eliminated errors at the sentence level and word level. Let us now move on to the errors related to punctuation and spelling. Please check whether all the sentences in the narrative are properly punctuated.
In the third sentence, we need a mark after O in 7 o'clock.
The mark is called apostrophe.
Vandana is asking a question, Amma, should I go today? The sentence ends with full stop. We need question mark at the end of the sentence.
You know what Rekha will think if I am not there. Ends with question mark, but it is not a question mark.
Okay, so you want to replace the question with a period. Have you made any other observations?
I think we have completed correcting the incorrect punctuation marks.
But I have a problem with the punctuation marks used for, that is, my sweet Amma, said Vandana. Do you see what the error is? Please check how the punctuation marks are used in your stories that are written in your textbooks.
The comma is to be put inside the quotation marks.
Exactly. Now you can check whether there are any spelling errors.
Teachers are often pained by the spelling errors that occur in written language. In the early years of teaching, several teachers go for spelling dictation. The students who make errors are often asked to write the incorrectly spelt words several times till they memorize the spelling. Sometimes they adapt a few basic spelling rules from popular spelling dictionaries. It is believed that the learners can improve their spelling simply by reviewing these rules and scanning the examples and exceptions until they get the fundamental concepts internalized. Do you remember any of these rules? Yes?
One rule is, in words ending with a silent E, you usually drop the E before a suffix that begins with a vowel. For example, revive plus AL becomes revival.
Correct, but there are exceptions as well. Manageable, singing, mileage, advantage, dying, acreage, peaceable, canoeing, and lineage. What could be the rule for examples such as management, pavement, and safety? Can you try formulating one? Yes?
Let me try. If the word ends with a silent E, this will be written when a suffix is added.
Correct. We get exceptions for this rule as well. The word ninth is obtained from nine. Wisdom is obtained from wise. See another rule which is a little complex. In words of two or more syllables that are accented on the final syllable and end in a single consonant preceded by a single vowel, you double the final consonant before a suffix beginning with a vowel. Can you give me examples of this?
We have words like referring obtained from refer and regrettable from regret.
That's right. However, if the accent is not on the last syllable, the final consonant is not doubled. Think about some examples, please.
Yes, words like benefited and audited.
That's right. There are a few other examples like biggest and hotter, which reveal what exactly happens when a suffix is added. However, when we try to state the rule, it becomes a very complex rule indeed. What will happen to words ending with y preceded by a consonant if we add a suffix which does not begin with an I? Could you try to answer?
Y is replaced by I, as in beautiful, obtained from adding FUL to beauty, and accompaniment obtained by adding MENT to accompany.
That's right. If the final Y is preceded by a vowel, however, the rule does not apply, as we see in journeys and obeying. There is yet another rule. Use I before E, except when the two letters follow E and have an E sound, or when they have an A sound, as in neighbor and way. Let's see the table. I before E sound: shield, believe, grieve, mischievous. And the next, E before I with A sound: vain, way, veil, neighbor. Once again, we do find exceptions as well. These are weird, foreign, forfeit, either, ancient, neither, sovereign, siege, height, seize, surfeit, and leisure. Memorizing rules like these is not easy because it is not just the rules one will have to memorize, the exceptions must also be memorized. Instead of prescribing rules, we can give the learners sufficient reading passages that contain relevant examples and ask them to formulate rules of their own. The rules that are formulated can be shared in groups, and the groups can come to an agreement on these rules. These will have to be tested against further data. Spelling errors need not be taken up as a part of classroom editing. It does not mean that these errors are not important. The written discourses have to be free of spelling errors. What we can do is invite the attention of the students to the wrongly spelt words and ask them to check source materials to correct the errors. Teachers also have to remember that familiarity with spelling comes from reading, and sufficient reading experience is to be provided to the learners to build up their repertoire of words with correct spellings. With this, we come to the conclusion of our lesson today. Hope you had a good time. Thank you.